tuning in. I know there's a lot of things you could be watching right now, so I appreciate you clicking and tuning in. This is kind of funny. I literally just took a shower. I still have wet hair, and I don't have any notes or anything in front of me, but I had a couple of things I really felt, maybe it was just the way my day went, but I really felt like I wanted to say and share with you guys. And that is the importance of honesty with yourself and living authentically. First of all, I want to say I don't at all put myself out there as a person who's got it all together or has all the answers or does everything right, because I make mistakes all the time and I'm still very much learning what it means to live authentically. I think for me, the process started with, I don't know if you would call it a life coaching seminar that I went to, and then it was really impactful, and I'd love to tell you guys about it. Really made a difference in my life. And then after that, I was dating this girl, and I decided to go on a vacation with her to Cancun and Playa del Carmen and Tulum in Mexico. It sounds odd to say, but that trip actually really impacted me. While I was there, I realized that I didn't want to be living where I was living anymore. And I don't mean that in a way where I was just unsatisfied and simply geographically changing my location would make all of my life better and all my problems fall away. I knew that you cannot run away from your problems. It wasn't that. It was more that while I was in Mexico, I realized that there were places that just, due to geography or due to the culture or the vibe there, were just so much better for me than where I was living, and I could be more myself. I could live more authentically in those places. And somehow just being in Mexico and just vibing with everything that was happening around me just helped that to click in my brain. And I went back. The time I was living in the Boston area, I'd been there happily for almost 12 years. I went back and just this idea just started going through my brain. I want to move, and I didn't know where I wanted to move. That's the crazy part. But simply these couple of things that I started doing really made a difference, and that is I started to write down. I had this journal I had started during this life coaching seminar that I went to. And I started writing down like a list of things that I wanted in a place to live. A couple of things like, a certain amount of warmth during the year, a certain amount of art and culture, a certain sense of community, music, the arts, that sort of thing. And I think I had like a list of a couple of places in my head. I didn't even write this down, just a list in my head of a couple places I wanted to go and check out and see if they really were as great as I had heard they were. And then I did the next thing, and you guys, I did this without anyone really, I'm not saying this to pat myself on the back, but I did this without really someone telling me to do this. I just started to do it. I started to talk to people about what I was thinking and what I was wanting. And those two simple actions of writing things down and then talking to the people in my life about what I was thinking had a very real impact on my landscape, like my social landscape. I was talking to my friends, my family, my bandmates, my girlfriend at the time, and not all of the reactions were positive. In fact, my bandmates became, immediately concerned. When are you going to move? We need to replace you. I was a drummer in this all-girl band. My girlfriend was immediately like, oh my God, you're going to be leaving me. You don't care about me, was kind of her initial reaction. And then she started kind of suggesting, well, maybe you can move to this other part of Massachusetts. And I tried to be sensitive to her, but at the same time, I was like, that doesn't meet the requirements on my list. In fact, it meets even fewer of them. It makes my life harder than even living in Boston. And it was a difficult place to be in because I'm pretty sensitive to the people around me that I care about. But at the same time, I had to be authentic with and honest with myself that my needs and my desires weren't being met, and how important was that to me. And I started to realize that, living authentically, it begins with ourselves. We have to be honest with ourselves. And, this sort of set off a series of events. Just the fact of writing this down and the fact of beginning to talk about it set off a series of events without really getting into the details. Just that idea of being ready to move and to try something different led to me moving to Chicago, which led to me finding a job with much more upward mobility, to me realizing I didn't want to stay in Chicago. This didn't check off enough of the things on my list. And then finding a way through my job to then move to, I'd never had a job that was, that, I guess, portable before, that I had that much to offer before. Because of that job and that experience and some licenses I got, I was then able to then explore other places and think about where I wanted to go next. And it was kind of down the road in my mind, but when the time came, I had the wherewithal and I had the means to do that. So when you start to be honest and authentic with yourself, it can seem really, really slow and incremental, but that is normal. Things don't usually happen overnight, and a lot of times I think we think they're going to happen overnight, and they don't. They happen so slowly for me. Maybe it's because I'm a slow learner, and I think what's really important is that we're really, really patient with ourselves through this process, through every process. There's this concept in, I think, in philosophy, where you can have this sort of cognitive dissonance where you're saying and thinking, I want this thing, but your life is not matching up to that. And there's this dissonance within you, this angst, where you're just like, I understand that I'm not. What is it? It's really that you understand that you're not living authentically. It causes us a lot of angst and a lot of dissonance in our lives, which is distracting and frankly doesn't lend itself to happiness. In order for us to be happy or live our lives with joy, I really believe that we must choose our present circumstance. We must choose it. We must say, I am here because of the choices that I make every day. And that's true. Sometimes we make choices because we think that the other choices are far worse. And so we say it's not really a real choice, but we must acknowledge that we still have a choice. Even if the other choice is death, it's still a choice. We still choose to be in the situation that we are in right now. And that is the first step, I think, to really being honest with ourselves and really getting rid of some of that angst that we have. Being honest with ourselves that I'm choosing my present situation and my present circumstance. Why? Simply because I'm not choosing anything else. You're either choosing one thing or the other. Sometimes simply by sort of not changing anything, we are choosing the present situation. And that is what I was doing in Boston for a long time. It's a very hard concept to be okay with because sometimes our circumstances are extremely unpleasant. Right now, I don't know if you can hear her, my cat is in the bathroom. And she's not very happy that she is shut in the bathroom and she's expressing vocally about this. As people, sometimes there are things that are beyond our control, and I'm not the best person to talk and explain the notion of choice and choosing our present circumstance. I've had people talk about it to me, and I've read books about it. But the general principle that I am choosing my life, even if you feel powerless to choose anything else, it actually helps us to begin to overcome that feeling of powerlessness. I think I said powerlessness. The feeling of powerlessness. It helps us to get over that and begin to choose our circumstance. And the whole concept of gratefulness comes in. I'm grateful for what I have right now, even though it may be next to nothing. You can be grateful for things that you don't have. I'm grateful for the things I don't have. I'm extremely grateful. All of these things have helped to make me into who I am today. There are always things to be grateful for. That is what I have today. I could definitely go into depth and detail, but today, if nothing else, if I have nothing else to show for it, geographically, culturally, artistically, I am in a place that I chose, that I looked at and I said, that's where I want to be. And it's not that I wasn't choosing where I was before. When I was there, I was choosing that. But I was able to move forwards with a goal in mind, and in the process, live more authentically and true to myself. Thanks for listening. I might have another video like this soon. Inspiration, ideas just hit me tonight, and I just wanted to share that idea of living authentically, beginning to express what it is that you really want in your life, and how that simply writing it down and beginning to talk about it can actually begin to change the landscape of your life. And also the concept of being grateful. Grateful for your situation right now, for what you have, for what you don't have. It's so important, and it begins to change your life. And I really think that if we live honestly and authentically with ourselves and with those around us, it only makes our lives and the lives of those around us better. And if you've ever been in a really crappy situation and you've seen how that simple action of being authentic can really, really improve your quality of life and the quality of life around you. Thanks. Have a great night.